Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom. Waking up, I'm a mess, sleeping on the bathroom floor. Last night's a blur, don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another round. You're talking shit, don't hear us.
Hey everyone, this is the Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Hey everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic week so far this week. I'm wearing my denim shirt. People walking by outside. Hope you guys have a great week this week. Azimuth PA, hey, how's it going? Divanshu, how's it going? CH Development, hi. Parash Bhatt, hey, how's it going? All right, Gorod, Mullins, you told me how to pronounce it last week. I can't remember. I'm sorry. Hey, how's it going? Cord Funk, you're here. Hey, Harshad. Hi, Eric. Facing a very serious problem. Help appreciated. That's what we're here for. Today is a day to sort out serious problems. We don't want any frivolous problems. We only want serious problems. So, Harshad, let me know what the what it is, please, so we could have a look at it. Is it a Google Play problem? Is it an AdMob problem? Matthew Harris. Hey, how's it going? Matthew, going through all the old comments. Thank you so much for, it's like so I get like notifications in my inbox when there's a new comment on, especially on the older videos. So Matthew's been going through and leaving comments on all the old stuff. All right, Gary, perfect. Thanks, Gary. Shaw Omroy, hey, how's it going? Sandeep, hey, how are you? How's it going? Fizz007, hi. So on the live stream, that's usually when it's completely unplanned. Don't have much to talk about. I haven't thought of a topic. We really just talk about questions. We just kind of, gotta shoot the bull, talk about some stuff. For me, it's been just like it's been a busy week, just with a bunch of stuff. There's some news on the Google side where I got an email this morning, I think, that Firebase is deprecating. Firebase is deprecating Firebase invites. So if any of you guys have used those before, I've used them in EarSpy, which is like a library we could say, so that can make it easy for them to just send an invite to anybody, regardless of if they're on iPhone or Android, so it links to their contacts and everything like that. And I used it a little bit, and then I think I removed it. I think I used it as an incentive. If it unlocks a feature, then it will, like if you invite somebody else, unlock a feature. I didn't see a lot of benefit out of it, but I still have the libraries there, so I have like a year to remove them. But it was a really good idea, and I wish it had caught on a bit more. I wish it had worked a bit more. And then also, what happened for us? Oh, just a few things. I think did we reach 8,000? Last weekend we reached 18,000 subscribers, which was kind of cool. It's not really app related, but still kind of cool. And our Social Blade rank went up to a B- from a C+. So for those guys who are on YouTube, you may look at Social Blade and see the different stats and stuff like that. And that was kind of a cool thing. So I'm up there with like John Sonmez is somebody people have pointed out to be like, he does videos too, although he's much more successful, and he's got a B-, so like kind of the same, although still kind of do that. Shadow Walker, hey, how's it going? Bala Murali Thirupathy. Sorry, I won't say last names. Maybe Gary Gary, maybe you're right. Maybe I should just not say last names. While using Ionic, what is the real challenge? Plugin or dependencies? For me, it's dependencies, because plugins, a lot of times you can find those plugins and hope they don't change anything. But for me, most of the time for me, it's dependencies. Things change all the time. And it's because the nice thing about Ionic, and there's a lot of nice things about Ionic, but I'm working with one now. So I'm dealing with a crashing issue on a physical device. But if you're doing it on iPhone or Android, the nice thing is that you could, you know how when you're in the browser, when you're doing your development in the browser, if that's what you do, and you should, because it's faster, just make your changes in the browser, then test them in the device because it's slower to move them to a device. When you're doing it in the browser, you can open up the developer tools and you could play with the variables, you could play with the CSS, you set breakpoints, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't know, if you could do that with Chrome, on Android you use Chrome, and on iOS you can use Safari, so you can still go in there, set your breakpoints, examine variables, step through code and everything like that, which is really, really nice to do. Now, you could do that on native Android too, and you could do it on native iOS too, but it depends on how long it takes to compile and build up. And I think Android is getting faster and faster all the time, and iOS maybe too. I've been working with a lot of legacy, older Objective-C stuff on the native Objective-C and Java. And part of the legacy is my EarSpy one. I had to release a new version a week ago when they disabled ads. Oh, that reminds me, I had another app disable ads yesterday morning, and I completely forgot about it. It doesn't make a lot of money, so I haven't really leaped to it yet. But I need to get to that. So I mean, the only thing that separates it from the paid version. Well, actually, there's more. Actually, no, there's more content on the paid version, but still, it's the ads they're there for a reason. So. But yeah, Bala, I would say for me, it's more the dependencies, because usually you can find the plugin, and usually the plugin documentation is pretty good. We've done some pretty advanced stuff that I would have thought that we would need native for. So we've got stuff that's like, it handles 10 Wi-Fi packets per second using UDP connection. Using a UDP connection with a physical device, and we have to make sure we don't drop any packets or anything like that. And I thought, when I looked at that, I thought, well, that's going to need to be native. We can't do that with a hybrid. But then I did it in a hybrid because I was trying to do native, and my developers gave me a quote, for the work. Or sorry, they weren't my developers, it was another development team. They gave me a quote for the work, and then when it came time to actually do it, they raised the quote, which is like, on principle, I wasn't going to pay it. Like, it was just like, no, right? So I said, I'll do it myself. And then I ended up doing it in, I was on the fence about React Native or Ionic, and I did the whole thing in Ionic myself. And I was like, UDP, surely that's going to be native. But I was able to find it. But every so often, and I know you shouldn't do this, I have to go through and fork. Well, actually, no, you could do it if you fork it, but like if you go in and tweak the actual native code. But it's much easier doing it that way. So plugins have never really been much of a problem for me. For me, it's always just been the dependencies. It's like, okay, there's been an upgrade, and now this isn't working, and now this isn't working, that kind of stuff. And that's not just Ionic. It's like React Native has that too. So let's see. Chordfunk says, Eric, don't scare us like that. I thought you were going to say a real-time database. Oh yeah, no, they're not going to deprecate the real-time database. I hope. No, it's just the invites. If they deprecated the real-time database, yeah, parse fail. Exactly, parse. God, I still get angry about that. If they weren't Facebook, And the thing was, and I talked about this. So every time I did that parse, I talked about going to App World in London, like months before, just months, not even a full year before they made that announcement, and watching this big presentation about why you would be crazy not to be using parse, right? And I thought and I remember telling my developer on Slack, say, we really need to start getting into parse. We need to transfer some of this stuff over to parse. And then they pulled the rug out from underneath me. So it was like, that's one of the things, those free tools. Like if they charge for it, okay, we would make a decision based on that. But just to take it away completely, damn them. Divyanshu Negi says, I have a question regarding Play Store app. Recently, I launched an app and got 10 downloads per day, and it's getting worse. I did ASO, all other possible things help. I am now thinking to migrate to iOS App Store. At least they praise good apps there. So yeah, it's not, the App Store is not, I mean, I don't want you to go through all that work. Let's have a look at it. So Divyanshu, if you could just put the name of the app here, we can have a look at it, and then maybe the group could help out. Harshad, this is a serious problem. I have published a new Play Store app, cool, and started an AdWord campaign, cool. I am getting conversions, but not much users. Like, will I get 1,000 conversions, and so I'll get like 1,000 conversions, just 100 users? Do you have any idea? The one thing I'm always concerned about. So are they actually downloading it? So when you talk about conversions, are you talking about their click-through, or are you talking about they're actually downloading it? Because if they're downloading it and not registering it, then that's one thing. Maybe it's an onboarding thing. But if it's like, if they're going to the page and they're not downloading it, then we can look at screenshots. And I'm always skeptical about fake clickers. So all these people who are trying to fake click ads and things like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, let's have a look at it, because that does sound like if you're getting 1,000 conversions and 100 users, I'm wondering what, like for me, a conversion would be a user. Like that's because I don't really have them register or anything like that. So other people will be like, they have more steps. They'll have a download and then registration. So they might download the app, look at it, and not register, that kind of thing. So what are the steps in that process? Fist007 says, how long does it take you to actually finish a project? Too long. So it depends on the project. There's some that are really simple and easy. Usually it's much faster when it's your own, because you just get it done. But a lot of times we have, and with some clients too, they just want to get it done. But sometimes it'll take a lot longer than you expect it to, and it could really be difficult. We have some projects that are really behind schedule, and it's a combination of developer problems, development problems, platform problems, but then there's also scope creep and other things coming into it, and it's being able to manage all that, and it can be very stressful. It's been, yeah. So it depends. I know that's not a really good answer, but you see, if you know what you want and you're building something for yourself, you should be able to do it. And it depends on how much time you have. So like some people, I remember people criticizing me on the YouTube channel years ago saying, look, I don't make cheap apps like you do. I spent 6 months on this app. I spent 1.5 years on this app, and it's getting no downloads. This sucks, right? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know how many hours a day you spent on it. I would never spend 1.5 years on something and not put it onto the store to test it. The same way I wouldn't write code. I wouldn't write an entire application and not test it, right? It's the same thing. You release a little bit to see how well it does, and then you base everything on that. The minimum viable product from the MVP from 0 to 1 that a lot of people have read, right? You need to test these things. Just the same way if I write a module, I wouldn't just write the module and then give it to somebody else saying, there, it's done. I would run it, I would test it, right? If I changed the light bulb, I would flick the switch a few times just to make sure it worked, even though obviously it's going to work, but I would just check, I want to just say, okay, change the light bulb, done, right? So, and that's the same thing. I think you need to, you release things more often, but it really depends. The time you spend to do an app is not indicative of how well it's going to do. I mean, that would make more sense if Google said, how long did you spend developing this, and they'll rank you higher if you spent longer, but that's not the way it works. So Sandeep says, it's been more than a month since I published. Oh wait, okay, sorry. It's been more than a month since I published, updated, or even checked my apps. Publishing new apps was kind of dead due to competition. Major niches are taken up. Only sub-niche have some hope. Yeah. I don't really have, I'm definitely in a sub-niche on mine. But there's lots of sub-niches out there. Depends on whether or not you could find them. And then if you have any sort of success, then other people might jump in there too and start doing, oh, this is obviously a big thing, and they'll copy it from you. But there's my favorite apps to do have been the ones that I think are more obscure, like the Swahili learning games, because there wasn't a lot out there on that, and not just Swahili, but Gujarat, and I know lots of people out there speak Gujarat, but there wasn't a lot on the Play Store for that. So putting that kind of stuff out there, because I was really like, we can rank well for that pretty easily, although they don't get a lot of downloads. So just because you rank well for a certain key term, if not a lot of people are searching for that, it's not gonna really help you. And then once that was out there, and I think I talked about it in a video, I think lots of others went into that, released that too. So let's see. Fist007 says, what do you think of the 90-90 rule? What's the 90? I don't know what the 90-90 rule is. I know the 80-20 rule, but that's based on what is the 90-90 rule? Let me know, Fist007. Harshad says, I am using third-party analytics, no users there, and no relevant ad requests. So if you're not getting any ad requests, are you... so if there's no users on third-party analytics, are you getting anything on Google Play? I mean, I think for me, the first place I would check is Google Play. Is Google Play say you're getting downloads? If you're getting downloads but you're not getting users, are they not registering? I mean, it's the different analytics. So for me, I usually just go by Google Play download stats, right? Occasionally I'll look at Firebase, because Firebase will give you how many sessions and everything, like how often are they loading it. I get the stream view to see what they're doing. I could track different events to see what they're clicking on and what they're doing. But I usually, when I just want the overview, I'll check Google Play analytics. So, I mean, is it possible that you could share that with us? I'm not sure if you can, because it's logged in as you, but let's see. ChordFunk says, do you usually wrap plugins in your own wrapper? No, I don't. Maybe I should. That would make sense. So like a lot of times in the past, you would use a wrapper around something in case you had to swap it out later and do something else. But no, most of the time I just use the plugins. So do you do that? That makes sense. No, actually, it depends. Like there's one we have that uses Bluetooth, and I wrote, because I kept swapping out Bluetooth. I had a problem with this Bluetooth, and it was like we released to a certain device. This was for a client. Released to a certain device, and it wasn't working on a certain Android version, and this. So I kept swapping out different Bluetooth plugins. So in the end, I had a service that was the Bluetooth service, and that had all the logic for within it, so that if I had to swap it out, I could just rewrite that one service, which is kind of like a wrapper, rather than call it within the different controllers and everything. But that's the way that I done that. So let's see. So UAC in India, yeah, Harshad. If you try, I mean, from what I've heard, I mean, I don't know if India is a good one to try. I don't know if there's a lot of self-clicking software out there or not. But I mean, UAC, yeah, I mean that should do okay. Matthew Harris says, I think Capacitor will solve that because it gives you ownership of the full Android native project. Oh, cool. So let's see. Sandeep says, I am riding on the passive money that comes from apps published in 2016. Apps done in 2018 are bringing super low income, and I tested so many niche in 2018. That's interesting. I mean, because a lot of people are asking, is the App Store or the App Stores, the Play Store and the App Store, are they getting too crowded? And as much as I want to say no, we all know that that's the case. They are getting very, very crowded. A lot of stuff's going in there, and whereas before, even though the App Store itself, everyone was releasing to the App Store only, and a lot of people were ignoring Android. It was easy to find a niche in Android, and now it's getting to be where a lot of people are putting things into Google Play first, and so that, I mean, yeah, that can be very, very difficult, but I do think, yeah, if we could just find the right niches, and the repetitive content policy. Well, when I first heard about it, I thought, oh man, I don't want this. I don't want them to start rejecting things because it's too similar to something else. But now we're getting, I mean, I think there is too much going in, and there are people who release apps every single day. I mean, there are thousands that go in every day into the Play Store, but there are some people who are they're just reskinners. They're just chucking stuff out there, right? And we've looked at a lot of them on this channel before, where we looked at the copycats. They're just chucking stuff out there. They're reskinning it all these different ways, and just serving ads. But Let's see. Harshad said, but this is something buggy. Console and AdWords are working hand in hand, but it seems like the app is not opening on devices. So, okay. So there, could it, all right, so it's not opening on devices. Is it possible, so you're getting downloads, but you're not getting opens, Harshad. Do you have anything in your crash logs? So, I mean, do you think it might be crashing when it's opening on certain devices? Which would be, yeah, I mean, yeah, could that be the case? Because I know that, you know, it might not get into that app open event on there. So, but it's difficult to say. It's really difficult to say without being able to see the data. I think that's the thing. So, I mean, if there's any way you can send a screenshot or something, that would be cool. Let's see. And Sandeep says, Harshad, don't do it in India. The ads. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that because it's not like it's just from what I've heard, but I don't know if it's true or not, but it's come with these things where I think when I've done ad campaigns, I get a lot of clicks in India, which is nice because they're really cheap clicks, but then I don't get the same downloads there. So Divyanshu says, hi, there is an app link I talked about earlier. It's unique marketplace feature, which none other app is providing in this category. Message held for review. Let me show this one. Okay, so let's see. This one is, oh, wow, we're actually able to show this one. Let's open this in a new tab. So this one is for Divyanshu, who says he's not getting very many. This is when you're getting like 10 downloads a day and you're not getting very much. So let's go to share my screen share. So stickers for WhatsApp, sticker maker, DIY sticker. So we've got create stickers, publish stickers, download stickers, advanced sticker editor, create sticker, create your own sticker packs for WhatsApp, publish your created sticker apps in the marketplace. Cool. Cool. All right, there's your that's a good review. Okay, when you publish a sticker, okay, what is the process of share sticker? So we got one person who's not quite sure how to use it. But that doesn't make it. So if you're not getting the downloads, so what kind of let's have a look at this at App Annie. What does your user acquisition report look like? Would be my question. So let's App Annie. Let's see, you guys can see my screen okay. Log in. What? Okay, wait. All right. Stickers for WhatsApp. So we'll have a look at this on Google Play. So stickers for WhatsApp. So there's a lot of apps with that name. Wow, there's a lot of apps with that name. So, I mean, my first question would be, how are you differentiating yourself from them? How are they doing? So there's going to be a top dog in this one. And if you're, I mean, we talk about there being the topic being overcrowded, but this is the name here is even overcrowded. So, and it might not even be registering on here. WA Stickers app. Yeah, I don't even, oh, here we go. Oh, there's 20 pages. 20 pages of them. So I think this might be an issue if there's too many of them here. If I go to actually, let's do a search on here. Let's do a search on the app name or the developer name here. WA sticker apps. So there's an app called WA Sticker Apps. Is that? Oh, because WhatsApp sticker. Okay, so that's what it is. WA. Duh. All right, WA Sticker Apps. I think we might just have a really overcrowded market on here. So what do you guys think? Divyanshu, I wish I could say a little bit more than that, but I think I can't even find it in the in App Annie when I search for it. Let me just do one more thing here. Let's do just go back to Google Play, and if I say WhatsApp stickers, because I wanted to see what you rank for under this term, but I don't even think it's going to show up. So I think this is it. I think if everybody's doing this one search, what else can you do, right? What else would they call it? I know there's stickers, but is there something else that people would refer to it as? Like, would they say WhatsApp images, WhatsApp, icons, emojis, whatever, which might not be the right term, but you can at least hit people who don't know that they're called stickers. So, I mean, what do you guys think there? Let's see. Awele says, sir, I downloaded EarSpy for you. Thank you very much. You don't need to do that. You guys don't need to download EarSpy, but thanks. Scope Creep shakes that fist at the sky. Scope Creep! Yes, definitely. Let's see. Subhasis, and I am so sorry, guys. Keep in mind that I'm trying to pronounce everybody's names, and everybody's always mispronounced my names my entire life. My surname, and I'm sorry if I keep mispronouncing him here. So he says, Subasis says, what's about writing blogs as an app developer? Where to start? Just start writing. There's loads of things you can write about, and when you start writing a blog, or we start making a video, you start thinking about the big concept, like how to make an app, how to make a whatever, how to design an icon or whatever. But it's the little things that people would be searching on, right? It's the niche things that you could do. So like if you, let's say, okay, for me this week, I had this bug in Ionic, and I thought it was a platform bug because I would end up on Stack Overflow, and I said, yeah, it's just a bug in Ionic 3, right? And it turns out that wasn't the case. Actually, Rodrigo, who's always on the channel, he helped me with this, because I was looking at all these different forums and articles and everything, and I asked him, I said, do you have any, it's only iOS, you know what it is? And he says, well, it shouldn't happen on WK WebView or whatever it is, only on UI WebView. And I said, yeah, I switched back to UI WebView because I had this, because in order to fix another thing, but it turned out it had nothing to do with that, and I think it's still on that. So anyway, when I switched back, it was gone. But that kind of stuff is like days of tracking down that, what's going on here, and and I do a search on the error message and everything like that, and there might be a Stack Overflow forum here and there, but if you wrote a blog post about that and people found that, then that would be good. I mean, it would be just something that helps people out. We all are in that situation where we find something that we cannot find anything on before. Like there's no documentation on this. There's a really obscure bug, right? And it happens on this version of Mac OS with this Android version with this, and I get this strange error message, and I spent days tweaking this and that, trying to figure out what it was, and this is what did it. Now you could put it on Stack Overflow and say, please help me, or here's how it works and everything, or you could create your own blog post that says, here's the issue that I had, here's the steps that I took, I hope this helps you. And then you could be the guy who just, I hope this helps you, right? And then that would be something that people would find. Or you could say, here's how to do an Ionic app, or here's how to do this. But I think just start writing and see how it goes. That's what I do. So yeah. Matthew Harris says, I didn't know either, but Wikipedia says 99 rule. In computer programming and software engineering, the 99 rule is a humorous aphorism that states, the first 99% of the code accounts for the first 90% of the development, the remaining 10%, 90% of development. Okay, I didn't know that was a rule, but we have said that. That last 10% takes 90%. That's always the case. We're 90% on a lot of projects that we're just got to get over that finish line. And it's sometimes it could be just the once the user sees it, they think, actually, you know what, I really want to change this. I don't want this to go live like that, or it'll be something of just cold feet. I mean, I've had clients, I know they just had cold feet. They're not ready to go live. They're like, actually, I want to go back to the old interface. Actually, I want to do this. And we're like, we got to put this thing live. We don't know anything until it goes live. And they go, do you think it's good enough? I said, yeah, it's good enough, right? Because, I mean, you just have to do it. It's the same with anytime you do anything that's creative, like doing a video, for example. When you're first starting out, you're like, actually, that wasn't good. I'm just going to do it one more time. I'm just going to do it again, right? Until you get used to it and you realize, I got to put this out, because then we learn from it. We learn from releasing, right? And it's easy to get the cold feet and not do that. And as a developer, you kind of get that. After you release a certain amount of applications, you realize that good enough is better than perfect, right? You just done is better than perfect, as they say at the Facebook thing, right? A lot of people say it. But when you have a client, they're like, and I've had clients tell me this before, if my name's going to be on it, it has to be perfect. No, we got to do this again. We got to do it from scratch. I'm like, well, it's going to cost. I don't understand why it would cost. And that kind of stuff is very frequent. Or they say, well, how much is it going to cost to redo it? And so this is how much it's going to cost. That's ridiculous, you know. And it's it can be very difficult from time to time. But a lot of other times, people are just like, yeah, let's get this live. Let's get it out the door. So, and sometimes it is that when you have a deadline and when they have a deadline, that's what actually gets it over the fence. Like they have to get, like events. We've done some apps for events like trade shows and stuff, and it's very stressful because you're fighting the clock. You're like, I got to get this done in the next few hours. Otherwise, I got to get this done I got to get this thing done by next Tuesday. And I got this to do, right? So you're really stressed out because you realize the clock is ticking. But then it's done, and you give it to the users. If you give it to the clients, if you give it to them too early, they think, okay, we have some time to change this, that, and they don't really. I just trying to get ahead of the curve. So sometimes it's better just to test everything, make sure it's working, or give it to them and make sure that they know this is for testing, but we're not changing anything because this is your original specification. So the 90-90 rule, yeah, definitely. We should do a video on that now that I just learned what it is just now. Let's see. Rapper's called the Seam. Okay. So be smart. Hey, how's it going? Yo, Eric, tell us about a pick in numbers of downloads in some app you got. For example, your average download is 10 a day, and suddenly you got 500 a day. Thanks. I talked about this before in Ear Agent. I was getting or Ear Spy, when it was called Ear Spy, I was getting 800 or 900 a day on that, and then when I localized it in another language, it went up to 3,000 a day. So I localized it in the top 10 languages or 20 languages, and I just went on Upwork and I did that. And that was the biggest increase that I've ever had. And it stays about that. So it is about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 a day. And it's just this consistent thing. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's strange that it's just so consistent. It's kind of like the views on the YouTube channel. It's just consistently, we get a certain amount of new subscribers a day. It's like it all kind of averages out, which is really strange. You'd think one day we'd have, one day we'd have 50 and the next day we'd have 1. And that happens a little bit, but mostly it's just like it's within a range. And that's the way it is with the app downloads too. Let's see. CH Development says, I think apps take a lot longer to reach a good place for usable passive income, but it is still possible. Yeah, I definitely think it's possible too. And it's just getting it in front of people. And if you release something today, you're finding you have a much more crowded market than you did before. And this is why buying code and reskinning code and doing something that there's too much of, it just doesn't work unless all those people get suspended for some reason, which is likely, which is possible on the Google Play. So there's a top dog, and that top dog won't be the top dog forever. But yeah, it is difficult, but it's possible. I mean, it's possible. I show you guys my revenue. It is possible to do, but it is, it's getting more difficult every day. And it's very easy to say, oh yeah, but it was easy back then, but it wasn't easy back then, because I kept thinking, I wish I had done this in 2008 when the App Store was new, because now nothing's working now. But eventually I kept working at it, and then it did. And every market is crowded. If you want to get into writing ebooks or doing drop shipping or doing ebooks or YouTube videos or whatever, they're all crowded too, right? You're just going to have to get used to these things are crowded. How do I stand up from the rest? How do I get more traffic into it? How can I get eyeballs onto it? If you opened up a shop, right, it's probably in a crowded town, right? You're relying on people walking past. So let's see. Harshad says, there's no crash reports in Play consoles. I've tried Crashalytics, no data there. And at last, I have also tried updating only an empty activity with just analytics, but also gave the same result. Okay, if I were you, I would stop that ad, stop paying for it now, and try to, or at least reduce the amount you're spending on it. Try to get a few things on it, because if the ad's not working, if people are clicking on it for the wrong reasons, if they're not getting the downloads, then that's one thing. But also make sure that your analytics are working, right? If they're not, if you're getting some, but not all of them, then that could be, that could be something. But definitely, if you're spending money on ads and you're not getting the return on the investment, you should stop and regroup and then think about something else. It's almost like you're building you're fixing a leaky pipe. You don't turn it on full blast to test it. You turn it on a little bit and make sure that you fix the leak, right? And then you turn the water on, right? So you see the drip, drip, drip. You don't just turn it on full blast. So you don't spend your whole marketing budget when you have an ad that's not working. You want to look. So that's why it's important to look at the click-through rate and the cost per acquisition as opposed to cost per click, because cost per click doesn't really mean anything unless that's what you're going for. But I'll say Fist 007, the 99 rule. Thank you very much. Ridho says, hi Eric, I've seen your channel for a while. I just want to ask you, have you used Flutter yet? Are you kidding now? Is that a joke? Because yes, we talk about Flutter probably every other week on this channel. So let's see. Yannick DD says, here, check out the game I made. Let's see if we can get this on here. Where is it? Yannick. Sorry, I lost my place. Yannick, check out the game I made. Okay, so let's open in a new tab. Screen share. Oops. Guys don't need to see that. Oh. Yandu. So okay, cool. Oh, it's in Phaser. Is this okay, this is just a click. All right, so this is using these are the graphics from, what is it? The Zenda games, is it? So yeah, this is using Phaser. So I took is that what this is? Because I think I've seen these graphics before. Let's see. So that's Yannick. Let's see. Harshad. Okay, Harshad. Here, let's have a look at Harshad's app here. So this one is called. So that Harshad's been having issues where, just to recap for those of you who just joined us, Harshad's been having issues with his app. He's running ads in India and UAC, and he's got. He's getting people clicking on the ads, but he's not getting the conversions, or he's getting the downloads, but not the conversions. So Jolo developer, we got the screenshots. I'm afraid I can't say much about the screenshots because I can't read Hindi. Because I took a course in Hindi for 10 weeks, and I could say kya aap kuch chahati hai, or chahati hu, or yeah, I could say at one time I could say the weather's really nice, and I could say hello and shukriya and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't really, every time. What got me about it was it felt like after the first few weeks it was really good. I was learning a lot. I could count to 10, ek do teen char panch, whatever it was, right? But then I got to the point where they started the masculine and feminine the way I say things. So I say kya aap kuch chahati hai, hu hey. right? So it was like I always say the wrong one to the wrong thing, and every time I say it, I got this sentence that came out, and I was like all proud of myself and said, actually, I'm a woman, you should say it this way or whatever. So anyway, so I can't read the Hindi, but oh, you got English here. We're so excited to read this app for you today. So this up here, I think what I would do is, is this a translation of that? I would say that this is like really prime real estate, and you should make this more for keyword driven. So the application itself, very strange question. So 2019, very strange question. Yeah, 100% free online things. So I'm not sure why people aren't downloading it. I can't read the screenshots, unfortunately, but you could have, let's say you've got some stock images. So right now you got a very strange question, and what would be the result? Because right now it's showing the app, which is cool, but what if you could show like some people like laughing in the background, or you could show something like people, you know, having a good time with it or something like that. Especially you're getting if you have ads, you're getting the traffic, but you're just not getting the conversions. So so you don't have to worry about the keyword search because you're paying for the traffic. So, but if they're not downloading it, then think about what they're doing. So let's say if we went to a stock image site, let's see, what is a free stock? I always use Adobe stock images, which is not a free one. So let's see, free stock images. Let's go. I know Unsplash, but I don't think Unsplash has people on it. Let's go to Unsplash. Laughing. So let's say you have an image like this with a phone in the front and two people laughing. Not this one, maybe this one, or maybe some of these other ones where people are just really, you know, they're having a joke. They're laughing about what these very strange questions are, or they're pondering or whatever. So they're in the background going, whatever, and then the phone is in the front. So it's showing the emotion that they'll get. So they'll do it. Because right now we're just seeing we're focusing on the features. Presumably, I can't read it, but we're focusing on the features and not the benefits. The benefits are you're gonna really love this application. You're gonna, you know, twist your mind, ask some very strange questions that you haven't thought about. Play it with a friend, however it works. But that would be what I would say. As developers, we tend to, and I'm the same. I tend to think about, I don't look at the user story. I look at what the app does, right? I think, oh, it has 120 vocabulary words, as it'll teach you how to do this, it'll do whatever. But then it'll be like, rather than that, sometimes I have to turn my way around saying, like on Ear Spy, saying, hear what's around you, right? Or you know, hours of fun, or whatever, or you know, learn a language that very few people know, and just something that, you know, try to play around with that kind of language. Something that, how am I going to be different? How is my life going to be different from downloading this application? What's going to be different from right now, me downloading this application? Because unless I know what I'm looking for, if I know that I'm looking for a note-taking application that syncs with Google Drive, then that would be an interesting thing to put on there, because it's targeted towards, I'm searching for that. But if I don't know that's what I need, and if I'm using advertising and I just happen upon it, then I'll be like, get control of your life, you know, this note-taking application, etc., etc., etc. So if that makes sense, I don't know if that, hopefully that does. Let's go. So Harshad, but I think I would look at that, look at the conversion rates, and take a look at the user acquisition report on Google Play, and how many people are you getting to your home store, to your page, your app store, Play Store page, and how many people are actually downloading, and from that, how many people are opening the app, etc. So actually, and you say you're stuck here. So let me just do this. Let me do one more screen share here, because I know that we've looked at the user acquisition reports before, but I just want to do it really quick just to show you guys where it is. And I'm going to show you an app that does, well, I'm going to show you my list. So I'll show you one that's, some of these are not doing very well. Let's just show you one that has data, like significant data in it. So So if I go in here, if you go to the side, you go to user acquisition, acquisition reports, and it's this one report where we talked about many times before, where you get how many people are visiting your store page. That's important because that's the first stage of are they even finding where you are? Are they actually doing that? And are they installing it? Who's installing it? And then how many people are buying and how many people are doing that. Now, if you're using analytics, you should get the first open there too. If you're using Firebase, or I'm not sure what the third-party analytics are. So, so that's just it. Boy, let's see. Just looking at the clock. Yeah, I think last time we did 2 hours and 10 minutes, and that's a little bit too long. So let's see if we could do this a bit quicker today. David Kitto says, "Hi, Eric. Here's a question I've had forever. How can you use Oracle or SQL Server database in a mobile app? I've never found a good answer." You can't really, because it doesn't have the runtimes for SQL Server or Oracle on an application. Yes, SQLite. You can even have MySQL in a mobile application, but you can connect to a remote mobile application using. I mean, there probably are some libraries that you can connect directly from your application to the remote database, not hosting the database in the application. At least I'm pretty sure there's not a way to do it. Maybe somebody has designed a wrapper around it that will run the SQL Server on a phone itself, but I assume you mean the SQL Server is on another server someplace and you need to connect to it. You could do that through a mobile application. I don't know, it's because this is like not a good idea, but there might be a library out there where you could connect and just download the data directly from the SQL Server connection. But I would say don't do that, because if I was like sniffing web traffic, I would be able to find the access to the database. I would see the database password, and stuff like that. What I would do is I would have a REST API. So you'd have the database, and then you'd have the API, and you do that. Let's try something new. Let's just do a quick diagram here. Let me open up Lucidchart. I'm just going to go to a diagram. I'll show you guys my screen here in a second. I just want to make sure you don't see any of the client diagrams on here, just in case. Just, because non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. Sorry, while it's loading, but that would be the thing to do, because you don't want your mobile app to connect directly to a remote database. Now with Firebase real-time database, it does do that, or at least you can do that, or you can use Cloud Functions and have that working. So let's just do. I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm loading Lucidchart. I used Lucidchart for the last couple of years. That's not an endorsement. It's just like I used Visio. I used Visio for years when I was on Windows, and I love Visio, but I just can't find a good Mac alternative for Visio. So let's say we have your database, and that would be SQL Server. Now, and then we have our app. Now, I don't know if there's a way that you can get a library that will just connect directly to that, and I don't think it's a good idea anyway, because it's just watching the web traffic. You would be able to see the same way you wouldn't have it from a client, from a JavaScript client side web application. You wouldn't do that, because somebody could just watch the traffic going back and forth using a packet sniffer and see what the database structure is like, and then just write their own SQL and then do that. So what I would do is I would have and again, you might know all this. Sorry, David, I don't want to be. Again, sorry if like you're like, dude, I know that. That's not my question, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. So I would have an API. So I would create my own API, and I do the same diagram for so many clients and they're like, I don't understand the API, the programming interface. So this would be, let me just do this this endpoint here. So the API would communicate with SQL Server, so that way you can have the API can be very restricted for what it can do, and then the app just communicates with the API. And of course that would be the Android or the iPhone app or a website or whatever, and then that way you could do the authentication that way and then send the data back. So you have the authentication between the app and the API, but the SQL Server doesn't do it. So that could be SQL Server, it could be MySQL, it could be Oracle, etc. And the API would have a bunch of functions on it, like let's see, like get products, whatever it was you're going to do. So it doesn't necessarily be the same as the database structure, because you want to keep that kind of separate. So get product, and then if you change the database, like let's say you have another version, another API version, then you could keep that API in place and have additional functions there. So you do get products, you know, login user, username, password, whatever, which returns a token, and then use that token for all subsequent calls and stuff like that. So that's the only way that I know to do it. Do it there, David. So, and that's just doing that. So you could, for the API, you could use Heroku and Node.js. You could use PHP. You could use C#. You could use whatever you want. But the app itself should have something because it's remote, and you're putting that in the hands of it. Now, if it's a local database, so what we do, a lot of what we do is, so we'll use Firebase sometimes and Cloud Functions for that. But then we'll do, where'd my database go? So if we have offline storage, we'll have a local SQLite database. And then there's other things like, or depending on the data, sometimes we'll use like just like a JSON file or different JSON files, or sometimes, and I know I hate doing this, I'll put JSON in the SQL database just because it has that permanence. We found using some Ionic apps, and we're using local storage, just web local storage, for storage of data on the client application, and we found that when the memory was running low and disk space was running low, iOS was just clearing it out, and it was kind of embarrassing when the client came back to us. And we found that some users were, you know, they were logged in, they were checking their data every day, and then the data was gone because it wasn't stored. So the SQLite database was more permanent, so it saw that as being cache storage and that stuff. So, and if any of you guys had a different experience on that, please let us know. But that's kind of where that's kind of my answer to the question. I'm sticking to it. So let's see. CH Development says, okay, so you're answering Sandeep's question. Let's see. Sandeep says, open any app, Eric, and then replace the package name in the URL to go to the one. That's how I was digging into apps in a crowded niche. Oh, Sandeep. So let's go back to App Annie. Let me just do that. Let me do that without showing you guys the screen real quick. So, all right. So here's a way of doing this. Now, the live streams, I know, are not very exciting. I know, I realize this, and you know, but it's more like, for some people will go through and watch the replays of the live stream, and I just think, you know, I don't know if that's possible to do, but some people do it. So let's see. Let's go back to open up any app here, and then we'll do. Here we go. Ah, perfect. Thank you very much, Sandeep. So, I didn't even realize that. So, so we've got this here. Let's look at ASO keywords. Going back to this one. So we've got DIY sticker, your number 3. That's pretty good. I mean, I wonder how many people do it. Sticker Maker, you're 39 at Sticker Maker. For WhatsApp, I don't think your WhatsApp sticker is your 208, and that's what your key. That's your key thing. That's in the title here. So stickers for WhatsApp. So WhatsApp stickers, your 208, which means it might be too crowded. So you might want to try putting some of these in the title. See if you do even better on it. Not the DIY sticker, because you're actually doing pretty good. But let's say Sticker Maker. So I wonder if a lot of people are searching for sticker makers or WhatsApp sticker maker, because you're doing pretty well for this one already, and that might be something that people are looking for. They want to create their own stickers, and you just focus on that one thing. So what we have is stickers for WhatsApp, sticker maker, it's Sticker Maker DIY sticker. So you already have Sticker Maker there, and that's why you're ranking so well for these. So stickers for WhatsApp is the one that's really not doing that well. I could be wrong. Stickers for WhatsApp, you're ranking 233 out of 243. So that's your key one. So maybe if it's possible to rename the app to something else, just something a little bit more unique. Do you think that would work? So, but it's also something that people will be searching on. Let's see. Subhashish says, Recently, I'm in a dilemma regarding choosing stacks in between React Native and Ionic. How to decide? I would think if there's a potential that you're going to do a PWA later, go with Ionic. Or if you're going to put it to web, go with Ionic. I mean, Ionic is in a web view, and I'm on record as saying, why we're not using Ionic on new projects, because we have problems here and there, but we got problems with React Native too. But we also have some applications which we've done in React Native that we have which we need to do in progressive web apps. So it means we need to rewrite a lot of the things so we can get it to work, because it's the different scripting and everything. So I would think that would be how to decide. And I think they're both pretty good. Yeah, I would go that way. Divyanshu says, thank you for putting so much time on my sticker app research. I was not expecting this much attention. Blush. Sorry. Let's see. Bala says, do you think backlink really works? I think it does work. I think it's part of what helps the algorithm search, but I don't think I think it's a slow game. I don't think you add a couple backlinks and you see like a big thing. It's like over time you add backlinks and then it adds to the social proof of the application over time. But yeah, I really do think it works. Let's see. CH Development says, I use preview video on YouTube description for backlink action. Hey, good idea. Christopher, how's it going? Hi, Eric. Do you have any tips to get more reviews ratings? I am currently using the iOS API pop-up, but not many users rate them. So what we did, we were using the same one. We were using the... God, I can't remember the name of it. We were using one of the popular ones at the time for iOS. I think it was Appcelerator, or is that? It was something like that. It had the word app in the beginning of it. They all these names sound the same after a while. But we were doing that, and it was just a pop-up saying, hey, do you like this app? Leave a rating, whatever. And we're so conditioned to close that right away. No, 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 because you see it all the time. So we changed everything, and I had this idea that we would just have, and I got this stock image of an old guy going, please, and just saying, please leave us a review of this old man, right? And I showed that to the team. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to do this old man. And my designer, Sandy, she said, let me do something. And she made a little girl. So it was a little girl that's like at the end of some of our videos, kind of like a mascot kind of thing. So she made one of the little girls say, please. So it comes up with this please, and it says, whatever, Mandarin Bubble Bath really needs reviews. We need your help. Can you please and then we have the text is like get lost, or get lost, remind me later, or sure. And if you click sure, it goes straight there, and then we stop asking, or so we don't keep asking him. But we found it to be a little bit more playful than just a standard pop-up, because a pop-up, you're so used to seeing it, and you're so used to closing it all the time. So we did something a little bit more playful there with those applications, and it's helped quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, we do get quite a lot of reviews on there, and it is clicking through on that button, and it's because we did something a little bit different, because it wasn't just like they're just quickly nope, right? It's this thing that comes up and they stop. They're like, and it just says please, like in big text. Now the thing is, we did the please in an image, so when we translated other languages, we had to do it in other languages too. But yeah, that's what I would do, Christopher. I mean, just try to do something a little bit different than other people are doing. Simoplay says, I have an app that has 170,000 impressions but few sales, like 7 sales. It is 99 cents. What do you think I should do? Improve the screenshots or make it free? What would you do? So if you have 170,000 impressions, first of all, I think, see, if you just have a paid app only, I don't think that works. I did that, like our third app was a paid only app. I thought, that's it, we're just going to do a paid only app. Enough of this free stuff. Nobody ever buys anything. And I found that after having the paid app out for about 3 weeks, no downloads, we released it as a free version with ads, just to see, because at that point I didn't know, is it too expensive? Is it because they can't try it first? So we released it with ads and with in-app purchases, and I think there's a lot to be said about people being able to use your application and then being able to upgrade it within the application through an in-app purchase. But we still get some people just still want to buy the full version. So they'll try the free version first, and then they'll go and buy the full version rather than do the in-app purchase, which I prefer. It's easier that way for me too, because you don't have to worry about restoring the purchases and all that stuff too. So so that's what I would do. I think play around with try a free version, but keep the paid version. And make sure the free version is a subset of the paid version so that you can upgrade it with in-app purchases. So that would be going in and providing. So what we do is we just have just a variable is full, right? So we have the is full variable. So we have the one bit of code that we release to both as the free and the paid version. The downside of that is that a lot of times we have the add libraries within the application, even on the paid version. So the libraries are there, so they're part of the code, even though they're not ever called. So they might be initialized, but they're never actually displayed or impressions or anything like that. No, they're not initialized either. So we check it from the beginning. So if you make an in-app purchase, we set is full to true, and then we remove all the ads and we save that to local storage so that when it loads up the next time, it knows that it's true and you never see ads again. So that's what we do, and then but the libraries are still there, and sometimes when you go on Google Play and you submit it and you say no, this has no ads for the paid version, I'll say but we found the libraries. Yeah, but there's still no ads. So so that's what I would do. Sima Plays, I would release a free version just to try it out, and we've tried everything. So we've done like where we took the free version and we put light in the corner or free in the corner, just so that we'll always remind them that they have the free version. The problem with that is I couldn't find a way to change it if they made a purchase. So it kind of sucked that if they upgraded it within the app, it had that. So in the end, I removed it. Right, and there's other ways of doing that. So let's see, Gilharm, is it Gilharm? Raphael says, hi Eric, oh, sorry, I just lost it. Let's go. Gilherm says, "Oh my God, I'm way behind on." Oh, okay, I need to catch up. I need to get moving on these questions. I'm spending too much time per question. Whoa, where was it? Gilherm says, "Someone just copied all my apps descriptions. What should I do?" Report them. Report them now. I've had that happen too, and I have to do it. But don't just report them. Do it like what I do is I'll do a screenshots next to each other, and I'll say, here's mine, here's theirs. I'll draw arrows between them because I've had the exact same thing happen where they just copied the descriptions entirely. They didn't even write their own stuff, right? And it's one thing if it's a similar app. It's one thing if it looks the same, but if they're actually copying your stuff and putting it into theirs, then yeah, definitely report them. Fly High says, "Hi, I have a question. Does it make sense to tell users your app to rate it inside the Does it make sense to tell users of your app to rate it inside the app? For example, put a screen like, don't forget to rate the app on quitting the app. Not on quitting the app. I think that's annoying. Yeah, it does. But I'll have a link to the Play Store page. This is one of the things people say. Like you can't, at least I don't know of a way to do this. You cannot have like libraries for them to rate it within the app. You have to send them back to the Play Store page, which is better than them just having to find it on their own. So it's good to have something that says go back through and rate it, and you send them back to where they got it from, so they can leave their rating. And people have always asked me, what if I give them an incentive to give a 5-star rating, and then but it's like you don't know what the rating is, and that's gaming the system. That's actually against the terms and conditions. But yeah, I would say do that kind of stuff. Let's see. So. Will it bring significantly more ratings and reviews? I would say, yeah, I think it would, Fly High. But yeah, do it in a good way. Like, don't just annoy them, because if you do it too, I've had people leave me bad reviews because of those pop-ups. So let's see, how many personal side projects do you have on hold that you desperately want to finish? That I desperately want to finish? One. One is behind me. It's a Google Home app, which was my Christmas. Over Christmas, I was gonna do like there's loads of things. Well, over Christmas, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna catch up on this. And then I worked on the dialogue flow and Google Home, and I submitted it a couple times, and it's rejected because I'm leaving the mic open. It's just like a note. Like for so long using GUIs, like I know what to do on a GUI, but voice VUI, what they call it, voice user interface. like it's like a whole new way of working. So I have to, you know, get rejected on something and go back and figure out how that stuff works. Chordfunk says, what is the most reused piece of code you've ever written? For example, I wrote a DB helper that would load a SQLite database from a file that I pretty much use in every project. For me, it is probably, yeah, I think it's in Corona. Well, it depends what language it is. In Corona, I have one that like that converts a hexadecimal color into the RGB. That was one. And I also have ones that load and save, and then I have the pop-up one that we just sort of import it into each project. And then yeah, that was, and then also taking, yeah, there's different ones that we reuse again and again and again. Oh, Kenny, so Harshad says, I'm getting some installs but not all. Thank you so much for giving your opinion on the problem. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Let's see. Fist007 says, oh, and if I can't write code anymore, I would be selling cars. Oh, nice. Chordfunk says, oh, sorry, let's see. No, Eric, I'm getting conversions. I'm getting installs. People are downloading. Okay, so Mark Gunn. Hey, Mark, how's it going? If you're still here. I know this was a while ago that you put this on here. Hi, Eric. You mentioned recently on a live stream that you have a construction industry clients. I've just completed a system aimed at that industry to manage maintenance logs. Awesome. Cool. See, these kind of apps I think I'm really excited about. It's putting something on the Play Store or on the App Store, which does generate passive income, is good. But if you could do something specifically for a group of people and market to them, I think that's great. Comprised of an iOS app, not on the App Store yet, a backend API, and a CMS. Cool. I have a version of it being used by one firm, but would like to welcome any ideas on how to get it out there, etc. See Mark Gunn, main logger. I would also like to be looking to add Android version of the app, which I know nothing about. So is it something you might be interested in collaborating on? Yeah, sure. I mean, if you contact us on info@overpass.co.uk, we might be able to help you with the Android one. But when it comes to distribution, you could do it either as a, you could probably for that one, since you're going to sell it to multiple clients, I would say, unless you're going to change it for each one, I would use something like the VPP on iOS, which is a value purchasing program. So that way you can, they just have to register their users, their employees on this program, and then you could make it available only to them. So we have some clients like that. We either release it through the enterprise distribution program, which they could just click on a link and download it, but they have to go to permissions and add the permissions for the application. Or we have volume purchasing program, which is an iOS thing or iPhone thing, and then we can just make it available to certain clients. So that's what I do. Billy says, hey guys. Hey Billy, how's it going? If you're still here. Alcides de Costo Lino Neto says, hi Eric, greetings from Brazil. Greetings. Let's see. Tech Genius says, hi Eric, which ads platform is best for mobile game? Thanks. For mobile games, I hear that, God, what is it? Why am I blanking on this one? The biggest one for gaming. God, so for me, I'm still AdMob. I still use AdMob for everything, but I know for gaming, a lot of people will use. God, I've used this in the past but not successfully because wasn't. But yeah, there's a check with it. I know that Martin from How to Make Mobile Games talks about it all the time. I can't remember what it's called. I'm blanking. It'll come back to me here in a minute. Let's see. Fist otherwise would be useless. Okay, so Fist007 says, and of course the API and the SQL Server on the same server host. Now you could put it on different servers. But let's see. Pork Pie Software says, good morning, Eric. Well, it's Sunday morning here at the bottom of the planet here in New Zealand. Hey, good morning. It's nighttime here. Nearly pizza time. Why did I say that? Let's see. FTTX says SQLite should be the default driver for Ionic storage. I'm dealing with that issue right now. Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, I would. Yeah, it should be. You're right. FTTX. I got that same issue. So let's see. I know we've answered all the. I think we've answered all of Harshad's questions here. Let's see. Chordfunk says if you have to choose between React Native and Ionic, I would choose Flutter. Tim, hi, how's it going? Tim says hi, Eric. Melissa Riley says, I hope I'm not late to the party. Hey, Eric. Hey, Melissa, how's it going? One Man says hi. Jennifer F says hi, Eric. One Man. You have a cool name. One man can make a difference. That's a Knight Rider thing. I know you guys sometimes. I'm a child of the 80s, and sometimes those things just pop into my head. One Man says, my account Google AdMob is closed. How can I open a new account? I don't know. Fortunately, I haven't had this problem, but you should be able to do that. Have you contacted AdMob and asked them about it? You just say, look, I don't know why my previous one was closed, but you know, we've made a lot of changes. We've gone through all the documentation. We see what we did wrong, that kind of stuff, and say, how can I open another account, or can I reopen my previous one? Just try to appeal to them in that way, because unless you were doing something really, really wrong, then they should be able to help you do that. You know, I think a lot of people have asked me, should you set up multiple Google accounts? And while that's possible, I imagine, I've never done it because everything seems to be linked. I hate being in Chrome and having to switch between this account and that account. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't do it. So let's see. Loading Pics is showing his application here. So let's have a look at this. Is Loading Pics application. So we'll just have a quick look at this. Give our opinion of it. So everybody, let them know. Oh no, this is sorry. This is the ratings, reviews, and installs. Store listing and promotion. Oh, we love your feedback. Some examples of common violations. Get discount. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, thank you very much for this, Loading Pics. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can't do. You can't say get a discount, because I've seen this happen on other applications before too, where they're doing this, which is, you know, they get caught eventually. Well, they get caught if they get reported. Maybe they get. I don't know. Yeah, I never know how people get caught actually, but it's gonna happen. They're gonna get them. Let's see. CH Development says many people install but only use it later, just uninstalled after a couple of days. Let's see. Connor says, on average, how much do you pay for an app or game? On average, it's difficult to say, and in the past I've said about 6,000 to 8,000, but it really depends. It really depends on the type of game, where you go. So you could get somebody in. I'm sure you could get somebody in some other kind. I mean, it depends on the quality. It depends on the developers that you find. I mean, everybody charges differently, and which is the realistically what it is. So we charge a certain amount for certain projects, but we're also, we have a lot of experience behind us, so we might charge a little bit more than others would. Others are just getting started, so they're trying to do better, but you might have a bit of problems with them having issues or not being able to do it. You might be able to find somebody who's really good and really cheap, which would be great, or you might be able to find somebody who's really bad and very expensive. So that's one of the things that you know, as a developer, and as a lot of developers know, we know, you know, if you have somebody who's really good that you trust, then that's the ideal situation. Connor, I'm sorry, it's not a very good one, but let's see. Chordfunk says Unity ads. No, it was. What? Okay, what? I'm trying to remember what it was. Top app ad platforms. It wasn't Facebook Audience Network. It was. Sorry, I'm having a look at different ad networks here. Let me show my screen. So the one I was thinking of is yada yada yada. Oh my god, Facebook Chartboost. Chartboost is the one I was thinking of. So yeah, does anybody say yes to these push notification pop-ups? So yeah, Chartboost is the one I was thinking of for games. I've heard good things about it, but I personally have not really used it. So Zed says Java, Kotlin, or React Native. Java and Kotlin are good if you're just doing Android. I think if you're just doing Android and you never plan on doing iOS, I think you'll go for Java or Kotlin. But the nice thing about React Native and other cross-platform ones is they're cross-platform. So if that's never going to be an issue, then yeah, I would say go with one of those. Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. All right, so let's see, hey Zap. Unity ads. Oh, we're near the end of the questions. Thank you. Wait, let's see. One man says, what is the best ad network to provide the highest eCPM? Unity ads, Startup, Leadbolt, Chartboost, RevMob, Playhaven, or HazeApp. They change all the time, which is one of the reasons why ad mediation is good. So you can experiment with different ones. Now, in the past, I've just kind of stuck with AdMob, or I've added mediation and I switched, like testing out other ones as they go. But it really depends. So, and this is one of the things with this year coming out with. They're supposed to be improving the mediation with the open bidding on AdMob, so hopefully that makes things a little bit easier. But we'll see. It's a really good question, but it changes all the time, and it also changes from developer to developer. Like one of the things we are not allowed to do on AdMob is talk about what our RPMs are. So I can't show you guys my AdMob console as much as I would love to, and I would love to see what you guys are getting too, but my RPMs might be higher than yours or lower than yours, and I think Google just doesn't want us going back and forth. And it would make sense that they would give different apps different ads to show, because depending on the likelihood of clicks. So I'm sure there's algorithms saying on their app is more likely to be clicked than on this app, so they would get a different kind of ad, and they would have a different bid rate and all that kind of stuff. So that's really I wish I had a really good answer to that. I don't. Harshaw said, thanks, Eric. You are a very nice guy. Keep up the good work. Hey, no problem. I'm glad we answered that, at least much as. Connor says, I am 16 and I have 3,000 budget. Is that enough? I would say probably it is. Probably not with Overpass, but you probably could find somebody. But be careful, right? Be very careful. Make sure you find somebody with a good portfolio, and then check on that. Not just the stuff they've done for other clients. Well, maybe if they've done stuff for other clients, ask who those clients are and contact them. All right, get some references, right? Because that 3,000, I mean, you don't want to lose that by getting an app developed, and which may or may not work, Connor. So be careful with that. I mean, because you might get to the point where at 16, God, if I had $3,000 when I was 3,000 pounds, sorry, if I had 3,000 pounds when I was 16, oh man, that would have been awesome. But I never did. I would have had my Mustang then, because I remember seeing one on a used car lot for $3,000, $29.99. Yeah, so be careful with that, Connor, please. Loading Pick says you need a good app / game, Connor. Yeah, you need to do some research on it, and put together some wireframes and some designs, and really think through the whole thing. How's it going to work? Here's some things that a lot of people forget about. How many levels are you going to have? What is each level going to look like? How are you going to monetize it? Are you going to use advertisements? And if you don't have to use advertisements, don't use advertisements. But think about what's a really good way to monetize it and get people to do that. And then also, and for a game, design is also a key thing. So you don't want to just get a developer who says, oh yeah, no, I could do design too. Look at the designs and make sure those designs didn't come from somewhere else. One of the development companies I worked with early on, that they did some of our early games, they did some designs for it, and they were just awful. They were just terrible. So I hired another designer, and so I brought this other designer in. I hired myself and worked with the designer. We got all the graphics done, sent it to this to the development company. They were in India, but I've worked with really good companies in India. It's nothing to do with India, but that's just where they were, and they just. Yeah, after a while they started. I got on a list, which was their marketing list, and apparently even though I'm already client, they sent me out their spam email saying, "Hey, would you like a mobile app? Here's some of the apps that we've done," and it was all my screenshots and my graphics, so they looked really good, but they didn't do those. They just did the code, and the code was nothing to write home about. So keep that in mind, and if you do hire somebody, you go on Upwork, you can find somebody there. It might be difficult to find somebody in the UK with that budget though. But you could always have a look around. But if you know exactly what you want, it'll make it easier for them to give you a quote. And don't tell them your budget. If they ask, we have so many conversations about whether or not you should ask for budget here. But I think don't tell them your budget. Say, how much is this going to cost? And if they come back and say, if they ask you what your budget is, say, look, I'm good with the budget. How much is it going to cost? And then if they come back and say it's going to be, 10 grand, you say I only have 3, and they say, oh, we could do it for 3. Then it's just let them tell you how much it is, and then just do it that way, and check around different developers, and make sure that they understand 100% what you mean by having a good document of what everything does. Let's see. So Zed says, can you give a roadmap for making apps in React Native? There are already so many out there. I mean, I would say find a tutorial on it. I mean, find a good YouTube tutorial. The nice thing about a lot of these tools is like you just have to build the default one, and it already has a boilerplate code in it, and you can see how it works. And then you can watch a few YouTube tutorials on how to update it. So, and even my React Native skills are not good. I mean, I've done a little bit in React Native. I've done a lot more in Ionic. And so I have developers that do the React Native. I know enough to build. I know enough to tweak some stuff. I know enough to know how the EJX works and how the markup works. But a lot of the stuff is like, I myself have not started one from scratch. But I've watched a lot of tutorials on it. And now, if I was going to do one on from scratch, I would go Flutter. But that's just me. Let's see. Fist007 says, how would you convince businesses to buy your product or services as a freelancer? I would first, well, okay, let's take you working as a freelancer, Fist007, the same way we would take an app. First, you have discoverability. How are they going to know you exist? Are they going to find you on Upwork or on Freelancer? Or are you going to reach out to them and contact them? Or are you going to create an ad? Are you going to optimize your website so that they find it? That's discoverability. That's step 1. Do they even know that you exist? Step 2 is once they find out you exist, will they hire you? So do you have a portfolio? Do you have something to show them of the past work that you've done? Or do you have something to show them to demonstrate that you can do something? Right, and one of the ways you can do that, if you don't have anything, is you can produce something for free to show them, nothing big, but like a mock-up or something like that, right? And step 4 is getting them to pay, is getting them to download the application, or step 3 is getting them to download the application. That same thing works in both places. It's funny that I talk a lot I did one about the 3 reasons nobody's downloading your app, A, B, and C. A is they don't know about it. B is they know about it, but they don't see the point. And C is that they hate it. They hate the concept. And most people just jump straight to C, but really the problem is always A. A is they don't know about it. So the same thing with being a freelancer, right? You can say, I'm a freelancer, and do the same thing I did. I start my own business, and I make my cards, and I make my website, and then I wait for the phone to ring, and it does not ring because nobody knows that it exists. So how do I make sure it exists? Well, we write blog posts, and we start reaching out to people. We start posting stuff all over the place, right? Content that we think is going to be interesting. Maybe we'll do some videos. Maybe we'll do lots of other stuff so people find us. But then people finding us is not enough, so we have to reach out and think, how do we get in front of people? And it could be cold calling, which I do not do because I hate doing it. I've done a little bit, hardly at all, but I've done a lot of cold emailing and just getting in front of the right people, and so building up that presence and everything. So that's really what it is. It's the hard bit. It's the same thing with the apps. How do you get your app in front of people? How do you get your business in front of people? How do you get yourself as a freelancer in front of people? The nice thing about Freelancer and Upwork is that they're searching for it, and you can just make sure that you show up well in the search, and you have good reviews, and you have all those testimonials are right there. The downside of those is that nobody's looking for a high-priced developer on those platforms, in my opinion. So that's why we don't go on Upwork or Freelancer for Overpass. Fly High says, guys, are there any restrictions on how many times you can show ad mob interstitials or rewarded ads with the user per day? If my app allows us to watch ads once every 30 minutes, is that okay? I think that would be okay. Once every 30 minutes, that sounds good. Or should I restrict it to a max of 3 ads per day, for example? I don't think there's a restriction per day, but I do. I do have a restriction on, like, I think 1 per minute or 2 per minute. So Loading Pick says, Eric, are you using subscription system to monetize Google? No, I'm not. I should. That's one of the... I get giddy with excitement when I think about subscription systems. I've thought about doing that with some of our existing apps, and we haven't released anything new for a little while. So I like the idea of a subscription app because it's the recurring revenue. But I don't want to take one of my existing apps and make it a subscription because it's not fair to people who've already purchased it. However, it is something I would like to do, but we've had clients who did subscription apps and they seem to be pretty happy with it. But I haven't. I'm sorry. I'm not a real developer. I'm a developer. I could code, but I'm not. I'm not the badass that I pretend to be. Loading Pics. Let's see. Matus O says, do you think AdWords campaigns have negative impact for organic installs? I noticed that the number of organic installs dropped when I stopped advertising. Really? Do you think? I don't know if the organic ones drop. Maybe. So if you're advertising, so one of the things I think is that if your app is doing really well in terms of getting downloads, you should be doing better for organic too, because you're ranking a little bit better. You're getting the stuff in there. You're trending. But if you stop them, then if it completely stops, then maybe the organic drops. But I don't know if there's a direct correlation. Vuko says, and what do you think about monetizing games with subscriptions? I don't know. Monetizing games with subscription, I don't know. You could try it. It depends on what your users will tolerate, I guess. If they think it's good enough. It really depends on if it's good enough. I do have subscriptions on so for me, I have subscriptions to Runtastic, Calm, the meditation app. Meditation apps seem to work pretty well, and some online magazines and stuff like that. But if it comes to and it also, I have a subscription to a or like a scanner application on my iPhone, which I don't know why it's a subscription. I have no idea. Like I should have just been in that purchase, but I said, no subscription. Right? And I think, okay, I'll subscribe, but I have to remember to cancel the subscription because I hardly use it. So it depends on what you get your users to put up with, I think, and test it out. So I think I'm gonna have to finish up here in a minute, guys. So please, no more questions after one man asked his last question. What is data monetization? Thank you very much. App monetized with data is simple to get money. Data monetization. I'm not sure what that is. Is that where you sell data to third parties? I have a lot of companies contact me saying they want to put some SDK in my app that listens to the microphone for marketing purposes, and I don't like the idea of that. It just sounds creepy to me. It sounds like the kind of thing that they'll crack down on someday. But they tell me, oh, $10 eCPM, no ads, all that kind of stuff. But I'm still like, but I've never done it. I don't even have that kind of information for users. I don't ask for email. We do have a newsletter, which we did. So we have where they can register for a newsletter within the application. So we do have those email addresses, but that's by definition only. And so many times people accuse me of stuff like remove me from your system. I don't know who you are. You made a purchase. You have it on your install. I don't have any. You didn't log into anything. I don't know anything about you. So I do get that for a while. So anyway, so that is it for today. So let's see. Vugo Games, you give a bonus to your users like gems, no ads, boosters every month if you use subscriptions. Cool. So that sounds pretty cool. So everybody, thank you so much for joining on the live stream this week. It's an hour and 28 minutes, which is better than last time. And really appreciate you guys sticking with me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys on Friday night. I always look forward to it. It's a bit exhausting because it's, as much as in my mind it's like we're having this really good conversation, when I go back and watch it the next day on the replay, I realize, dude, it's just me talking. It's boring. so I hope you guys, if you're watching the replay, well, we should say this at the beginning next time. I hope you watch the chat. Otherwise, you won't really be able to follow what's going on. So anyway, thank you so much for showing up tonight, guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the daily video, and I'll talk to you guys next week on the live stream. Have a fantastic weekend. It's pizza time.